Kim here with Lead Generation Source, and we're just about ready to get started, just waiting for some people to hop on.
Hi, Kim.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I have Joanne joining me, just for the replay. we don't get very many people who aren't. Well, actually, we haven't had anybody new in a while, but I did have a couple people through one of the pages that were trying to sign up. So if they signed up, I have like 200 and some odd people registered, but most of them are spam. So I have no idea how many people are real.
Hey, so my Pinterest has gone up 365 now. In 2 days? I got another 65.
Good.
Yeah. I think that's the place to concentrate on for me right now.
Yeah, that
Facebook's been screwing up. I don't know what's going on with Facebook.
So I was just watching an update from, I think I've mentioned him, Fred Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
And he is, he's a big e-commerce guy and everything. And he's saying that Facebook's basically like, don't really focus on Facebook. He's saying go to Instagram. So I'm going to go ahead and dedicate some time over the next couple of weeks into diving into Instagram. Because the problem I have with Instagram is that it's not the same media format as everything else. So it's, different sizes, different styles and everything. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I need to learn the media format because I don't want to get on there and post a bunch of stuff that looks like crap because that's not going to be helpful. So I bought a software program maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, that's supposed to help build like stories and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I guess if I go through that in the training, it'll probably help a lot. And then he's saying he gets a lot more traffic from percentage wise from Instagram than Facebook. So it kind of makes sense because Instagram is kind of a lot like Pinterest in that it's very image based.
Hey, okay, it worked. How do you know which one of the two that you sent me? I'm like clicking both of them. How do you know which one of the two?
One of them has the link that says coordinator in it or something.
I didn't see that, but I tried the wrong one first. Anyways.
There's one. Once you click on it, that's Linda, right? I'm not on it right now.
Yeah, hi, Joanne. You just have to click on it. It doesn't say it in it.
When you click on it, I think it says it in the link somewhere as soon as you click on it, I think.
My son has given me Instagram lessons and saying I should go to Instagram.
Yeah, we're going to need to go to Instagram for instead of Facebook for traffic. Now, I'm not saying give up on Facebook. I'm just saying Facebook, and I've been saying this for a while, right? That Facebook really isn't the traffic source that everybody says it is. And so I don't think we should take away Facebook, and we still need it. And I'll talk about why here in a minute. But we definitely need to make sure that we're hitting the sources where the traffic are. If there's people, Instagram's growing right now. So it's a good shot to get on and get some traffic. But I do also think that means there's a lot more competition there. So today we're going to talk go ahead.
I was going to say, isn't that a much younger audience even than Pinterest?
It was, but because it's growing, I don't even know what the demographics are on it now. It used to be that 90% of Instagram users were under the age of 35. That's what was reported about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, my friends' kids are on it all the time, like crazy, ridiculous. Like that's all they do.
Well, and here's another one. Like everybody keeps coming up to me and they're like, oh, have you heard about this new social media thing? And I go, if you say Snapchat, I'm going to punch you in the face. And they're like, I was going to say Snapchat. Why? And I'm like, that is not new.
I do Snapchat, but not just with my daughter and stuff.
Right. I need to look at it because honestly, when I looked at Snapchat, there was no way to use it for business. Wow. And that was kind of like when Facebook first started. There was no way to use it for business. And then they shifted to that. So if Snapchat shifted to being a business resource, that's fine. But I can tell you that there is nobody in search engine optimization that's reporting Snapchat as a benefit. So unless you plan on using Snapchat regularly to drive traffic somehow, which, like I said, I'm not entirely positive how that's going to work for a business. Because everything that I've seen has been, goofing off with taking pictures and sending them the delete. I'm going to take this picture or send this message to somebody and it's going to delete after, 30 seconds or whatever.
Really?
So that's what they used to do with it. I don't know what they do with it now, but that's the way it used to be.
Then they go away. The pictures go away unless you save it.
Yeah. So
unless you what, Linda?
Unless you save it.
Save it. Okay, now the other thing, what media do you need for Instagram, are you saying?
Just use your phone.
Well, yeah, your phone will automatically, if you take a picture or whatever on Instagram, it'll automatically size it. But when you're doing business stuff, you have to have the right size image to put in there. Not only that, but there's certain types of media. So like, video, but it's not called video on Instagram. They call them stories. So they have to be like a certain length and they have to be a certain size and, shape. Certain shapes will work better than others. So like I said, I have a whole thing on that I'll maybe not next week, but the week after that, I'll go ahead and cover because I have it all. I just haven't gone through and done it because like I said, when my market was always over the age of 35. So I was like, why am I going to focus on Instagram if 90% of the users are under the age of 35? But I can tell you now that there's multiple business people saying that Instagram is the place to be. And I'm like, I think that's the age is sneaking up because there's so many people going to Instagram. There's so much talk about it. There's just a lot of traffic right there right now. So it's definitely a place we need to test. But I don't think that necessarily with the TRex stuff that our market is going to be is or isn't Instagram. There's going to be buyers on Instagram, so we should test it out definitely. But I do think that our market is definitely still going to be on Pinterest because Pinterest is more of that creative, that that side that print on demand. It's the kind of customer we want is the ones on Pinterest.
I thought it was Etsy.
Yeah, it is. Etsy and Pinterest are like. Well, and that's the thing. There's two different things, right? So Pinterest isn't a selling platform. Etsy is a selling platform.
Right.
But they say if you look at the numbers, the people on Etsy are also on Pinterest. So that's where you can, if you're on Etsy, you should be on Pinterest because when people see something from Etsy that's pinned, they're more likely to click on it than they are to go to Joe Schmo's e-commerce site.com, which that would be a really long URL for the record.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so let's talk backlinks this week, and for the replay, they can just go through our banter there because there's some people that watch it, but I don't know who. Anyway, so we're going to talk about backlinks and why we need them. All right, so we're going to just talk, over the past weeks, we've talked about search engine optimization, and we've talked about on-page search engine optimization and how that defines our page for search engines and possibly even for Facebook if we do ads. That's schema data. But right now, Facebook's in such turmoil, I would just avoid it like the plague for a little bit until they cool off. They actually just started re-implementing messages. Like I just got 30 messages from them that were in queue. So it was really weird. So off-site search engine optimization includes creating backlinks. And we've talked about this, that they act as a vote for our site and the keywords that we identify. So the off-site search engine optimization, it doesn't only create backlinks, but even though that's a big part of what we were trying to do, but it also helps us drive traffic back to our site. And of course, this is a double reward because we want traffic, and then traffic is good for search engine optimization. And of course, everything we do here on out should help with SEO, but these are all also standalone strategies with a couple of exceptions, and I'll talk about that. So what exactly are backlinks besides votes? So backlinks are links to your website found on other websites. And there's a huge technical thing I could go in about how they need to be on a different class CIP and blah, blah, blah. But that's when you want to manipulate it. If you're doing this right, which you should be able to, if you do it right, it's a lot easier than doing it the wrong way, right? I mean, if you're going to do it what they call the black hat way, you're going to put a lot of work in that you could do the same amount of work and get better results doing it the right way. So an example of this would be if you have a product listed on Amazon and you have a blog and you create a link in your blog that posts the links back, you create the URL link that's pointing back to your product. That's called a backlink to your product listing. And backlinks, they help clarify the content on the page. So search engines like Google, Yahoo, and Bing, they rely on backlinks to help them understand your content. But there's also a catch to that. So, typically what you would do is you'd say, click here, and click here is that underlying, it is what they call the keyword, right? You say click here, and then you'd hyperlink that to your product. Well, that doesn't necessarily clarify the site, but it does count as a vote. Now, if you're to say click here for the best massage chairs, and it went back to your product, then now Amazon goes, okay, well, this is about massage chairs, and theoretically it's about the best massage chairs. So that would be, okay, well, that's a little bit more clarification for Google. At least Yahoo and Bing aren't necessarily the same rules as Google. In fact, nobody really knows what Yahoo and Bing do. And a lot of people still, they'll still do all the spammy stuff because Yahoo and Bing, it still benefits them. but nobody really knows if it does or not, because they are very, like, nobody knows anything about their algorithms. Not like we know about Google's, just that Google has come out and told us that they hate things like spammy or clearly optimized backlinks, because clearly optimized ones look like it's spam. So if you're to say, click here, and then you hyperlinked best, massage chairs, and that was every single link that came into that said was linked by best massage chairs, Google knows that that's your doing. They're like, okay, that's your doing. That's not somebody else. So they may not even count those anymore, or they may actually, say, hey, this is the opposite. They're only going to show you if people say worst. I mean, we don't really know how that works, but they tend to ignore those links if it gets too much. And there is a formula out there that people say, but for the most part, it's just getting a link back to your site. And I'll show you some examples of this that make it relatively painless. So it's important to know how you can create the backlinks and what not to do. So I've talked a little bit about what not to do, but I'm going to show you guys, just to emphasize the importance of backlinks and how they are interlinking. I'm going to show you this site. It's going to hurt your brain because it looks like a brain, but this is just a fraction of the internet that's out there. Let me know when you guys can see it, because
What do you mean that's out there?
this is not the whole entire World Wide Web that we're looking at. This is just of the people who've contributed to this project.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can see like these ones are all education sites because they're all interlinking back to each other. But what that's doing is, because it's verifying that information. So let's say Google goes, okay, you're out here somewhere, and you're like, okay, well, I have this Pitbull shirt. I'm sorry, I always pick on you, Linda, because it's the easiest one. And so I have a Pitbull shirt here, and and Google goes, I don't know if that's really about a Pitbull shirt. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to check this source and pick any of these sources. And if you're listed there, all of a sudden Google goes, oh, good. Yes, this is legit. This is a legit site. Somebody else is talking about it. Right now, some of these we can create. I'm going to go ahead and move this now. Some of these we can create, and some of them we can't. And the ones that we can't create, we just really aren't going to worry about right now, because they'll happen naturally over time. All right, let's go to the next one. So obviously, literally, there are billions of websites out there, but not all websites are created equal. Backlinks from quality sites are more important than backlinks from low quality sites. And I know you guys always hear my example about porn sites. I kid you not, when you go and you pay for somebody to give you 1,000 backlinks from Fiverr or something, they're like, oh, 1,000 backlinks for $5. I have gone through and looked at those, and a lot of them are on porn sites. And they never get what they call indexed. And that means Google literally just ignores them. So yeah, you got 1,000 backlinks, but they mean nothing. So you can create your own backlinks using social media, directories, blogs, forums, bookmarking sites, and many other locations. And these are all higher quality sites because they're legitimate sites. So for each property we develop, Pinterest, Facebook page, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc., we create a powerful backlink because these social properties are trusted. Back in the day when they first got started, everybody ignored them. And then when everybody started using them, all the search engines were like, oh, just kidding, these are important. So they hopped onto the whole, okay, these are important sites, we're going to do, and they shifted from what they used to call page authority to trust. And so trust is more important now than page authority, if you ever hear that. Not that page authority is not important, we just have no idea how it plays a role anymore. So you want trusted sites, and sites like Pinterest and Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. These are all established properties that are trusted. So yeah, we also want links from properties we don't control, such as other people's blogs, news stations, educational entities, so the .edu websites, government entities, that's the .gov sites, and others. We can't control those. So let's build the ones that we can control, right? Since people are on social platforms, links from these platforms are important. For each social platform, we can also drive traffic from that platform. So for example, Pinterest has people searching there. So when they find your pin and they visit your page, that's traffic. So that also helps with search engine optimization. So having the pin is important because that's basically a vote for your page already. But when you also get traffic through that pin, now search engines like Google say, oh, wait a second, not only is this, and of course, how that traffic, if they just go to your site and leave, then it's not as good as if they go on your site and stay. So, and I should clarify that. Google doesn't care if they leave your site. They just want you to stay on there long enough to do something, to take another action. So if they go on your site and you're like, oh, hey, thanks so much for visiting my site. Here's the information you want. Now click here to go find some more information. and they're on there for like 30 seconds and they click there, that's okay too, right? Because you've now given somebody the resource that they need. So there's some give and take there as far as how long they need to be on your site. But if they're going to your site and they're coming from these entities, that makes that link more powerful. Because
Kim,
yeah.
does each Pinterest link or URL picture each count as one vote, or is it just one as a group of Pinterest pins?
So it depends on what you're going for. If you're going for just the search engine optimization point, like just the I want the vote, then you just need one. You just need the one vote back. But and there's also some dilemma on this, because there's nobody in search engine optimization is reporting that somebody repinning your content or having multiple pins increases organic search engine optimization. But what it helps with is, like, if you have, like in my case, I have like 500 pins out there and they're all going to different entities. But, you know, let's say that I had 500 pins out there all going back to my website. That's going to help me with traffic, right? So every time, even if I only get 5 clicks, if I only had 1 pin on there and I'm not getting any clicks, but I have 500 pins on there and I'm getting 5 clicks, that's still traffic, and that's still going to be good for my site. So it just depends on what the purpose is. And I'd say more pins in general help with that traffic element. So that's where it's going to help ultimately in search engine optimization. But if you're just looking for the link back, then you really only need to just make your profile and pin like a piece of content, and that would still be the one class C IP linking back.
And would it be better to change up the URL? Like for each page, you're doing a jewelry page, so you're going to put /jewelry. You're going to have a t-shirt page /t-shirt. Would that be better as well, to have more of those type of pin URLs?
Yeah, I mean, because you want each pin to be going back to where you want them to. So like if you have 500 products, for example, you might have 500 pins, because each product is going to be pinned in there. And so that does help. And that also helps with traffic, right? Because you don't want somebody you have Pitbull shirt, and then they click on it and you have, like, you know, some sort of ripped jeans instead. And they're like, wait, that's not what I clicked on. And then they're not going to stay there. They're going to go away, and they're not going to click on any of your pins anymore because they feel tricked. So you want to make sure that your pin matches up with where they're landing. So you're going to end up with multiple pins with multiple URL locations anyway, naturally. Okay. So yeah, that is definitely better. Now that doesn't mean you can't have 5 going to the same page, right? I mean, if you have 5 images or 5 different pins that you want to create that will promote the same content and push it back to your site, that's okay too. It just needs to, you know, if you have multiple products, you're going to have multiple pins. So both ways work. It's just however you can get to drive traffic is going to be better than not driving traffic.
Gotcha.
Now, no, I wanted to put, oh, I'm sorry, Lynn, did you have a question?
I don't know. There should be a raise your hand. I don't want to interrupt, but when you're talking about them going to your site, or you have a site for your laser products?
Yeah, my EP laser one, yeah.
We don't have an exact site. They would only be going to a URL that goes along with what you're selling?
Yeah, I mean, you can send them to Etsy. That's like I told you guys this before. I have my own site. I have my own content pinned on Pinterest, and yet somebody found a pin that was pinned from Etsy by somebody else. And I actually tracked that pin down because I wanted to know. I was like, how did they find us? And I was like, oh, look, there it is. Because I found that I used the image that they had sent me. And I was like, oh, there it is on Etsy. And look, it's pinned from Etsy by somebody else, not even me. So, I mean, that was pretty cool, because that's the whole point of that, right?
Right. Okay, so we're sending them to the site, the page, whatever the URL is for what we're selling.
Yeah, we're going to call it your money site is what we call that typically. You know, whatever site is the site you're making money with. Now, ultimately, we'd like that to be our TRex site for TRex people. But right now, that's not very feasible because it's just too hard to do. You know, there's too much work. So at this point, I would say point them back to Etsy. And then you can always go back in and change the links in your pins, right? So let's say that you finally get the TRex site up running where you want it, and you're like, okay, now I want them, if they find me on Pinterest, I want them to go to my regular site now. You can just go back into your pin and change out the URL. You know, so that way that's if you wanted to. Otherwise, who cares? Leave them going to Etsy, unless you're taking that off of Etsy, which I don't recommend because Etsy has its own built-in traffic. So, so that's just you know, Pinterest and Etsy and social media. So let's talk about some non-social media properties, because we haven't really talked about non-social media properties yet. One of these days I'm going to figure out how to load this in there better. So non-social media property number 1, alternative blog sites. And I kind of hinted to this on our K&K group, but 2 of the most popular blog locations are WordPress.com and Blogger.com. Now, Google owns Blogger.com, and I think I might have skipped over that part where I was saying that Google loves Google properties. So Blogger.com is a great property to have to help build trust with Google. Now, don't you just create your own personal blog on Blogger.com. That's fine. You know, there's no point in making it, you know, a fake name or anything else. It can be, if you don't want to associate it back with your company, then mix in some other content or whatever. But for the most part, I don't think any of us have a problem standing behind what we're offering. So Blogger.com as yourself, and that will be a great boost for Google Trust. And there's, you know, just follow the instructions, and we'll go over more of this if you guys get interested in this, but I just want to make sure I cover these so you know that they're there. WordPress now has 2 types of properties, and as TRex people, this gets a little confusing. Wait, Brian says we don't have much reason to send them to our TRex site unless we are creating pages, not campaigns and funnels, right? Only pages rank, not campaigns and funnels. Yeah, Brian, the only reason why the campaigns and funnels don't rank is because there's no way to, unless you have like something like, I mean, I guess if you know the code, but you know, I have WebFire, so I can create a schema. So I can take that schema and put it on an individual page and try to rank that page. But as you, there's nothing else in there without you adding the code in on the TRex site. So you can't really rank. In fact, I would say even their page, there's not really much on TRex that's easy to rank unless it's outside the TRex platform. So like if you do separate pages and stuff, you're right, you could rank those pages, but not the campaigns and the funnels without adding the code in. If you add in the schema code, which like I said, I use WebFire to do it, but if you add in the schema code, you can then rank it. But I haven't tested that, and I'm not going to, because I'm not going to go through that length until I find my converting products. Once I find my converting products, then I might build something on TRex and do that. But for now, I'm just going to use Etsy to test my conversions, right? Because there's that natural traffic. So once I know something's going to sell at that price point, I'll go ahead and expand it. All right. So, but WordPress.com is it's the hosting site for blogs. So they have, so WordPress has 2 properties, right? They have the WordPress.com, which is where they host WordPress sites, and you can have a free page or a paid one. Free is fine for us right now. In fact, I don't think we ever need to get into paid because we have a different platform. Now, WordPress.org is where the platform, and it's kind of funny because we didn't use WordPress.org to do this, but if you wanted to, you could go to WordPress.org. You could download the actual WordPress platform and then load it to your hosting site. Almost every hosting site that has cPanel offers, you know, a one-click install with WordPress. So all of the way that used to work is gone now. But I want you guys to understand that WordPress itself is a platform, and it's also a hosting site, and that's the WordPress.com is where it's hosted. But you can host it on your self-hosted site anywhere else. So TRex is a self-hosted WordPress site. They don't use it right as WordPress, but it is a WordPress self-hosted site. You can have both, right? You don't have to have an either or. You can have one that is hosted on WordPress.com and then one that you self-host somewhere else. And of course, I've talked about this before. If you're like, hey, I want to do this and add in another class CIP, which you really don't need for e-commerce unless you're in something highly competitive. But I resell the lifetime hosting. I have them, I can do like $19 for the cheapest package. So if you want to just throw up a blog and have another class CIP and get completely blasted with emails from them, message me. It's $19. That's what I sell it for directly. I don't have a link for it because it's, so if I gave you guys a link, I had to charge like $75 or something. But I have a bunch that I've already purchased that I can resell directly, and it's $19 is what my contract price is that I have to sell it for. So anyway, if you want that, message me, I'll get it for you. And you can only use one of them because they basically put all of theirs on 3 servers and you don't get to pick. It might be more servers, but that's the only ones I've come across. Okay, so non-social media property number 2, and let me actually go back to this one for a second. If I recommend that if you're interested in building those backlinks and stuff, do Blogger and WordPress, and we'll talk about next week. We may actually talk about how we can put content on there a lot faster, so you don't have to do content on every single site, right? But and I'll recap this a little bit at the end too.
On the blog site, like that, different than a fan page, but you're posting things that are just yours that you totally wrote yourself?
Yes. I mean, yeah, oh yeah, different than like Facebook. You can just be sharing other people's content. I mean, you can share other people's content on there if you wanted to, but the point of these is to be creating links back to your site. So if you want to create links back to your site, it needs to be your content. But let's say that you're just, I've talked a little bit about this before about syndicating content, right? So it's the same concept. You can just share your content to your blog sites that you've already created on your site and just create and credit the original source, original source here, and then there's the link back. So you're only creating content once, whether it's a product page or an actual, how to, or whatever the content page is. It can be a product page, and you can just be posting your product pages on your other sites with that link back. That is one way to do it. Like I said, we'll talk more about that next week.
Oh, hand up. The other, I know we talked about this the other day. I'm still confused. I'm building that site I was telling you about, my spiritually positive site, and it is on WordPress. It does have a blog. Should I not use that blog and go into Blogger and then send links to my spiritually positive?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to create blog content, you can create it on your site and then share it to your other sites, right? Share it to your blog or share it to your WordPress.com. And that's a great way to do that.
Is it worth all the extra effort of setting up blogger.com?
And this is where it kind of depends. And I'm going to talk more about how many backlinks you need. It really depends on your competition, because if you are, and where you rank. So like for me, a lot of my stuff, I can rank on page 1 without doing any of this because I have like no competition, right? And that goes back to my keyword research. I went back to my keyword research. I found things that were easy to rank for, and I can rank on page 1 because there's no competition. But if I have something that's a little bit harder, and unfortunately, some of my ornaments are a little bit harder. So in order for me to get more juice back to say, hey, yeah, this is a good site for that, I need to create more links back and more properties and more, alternative traffic coming in. And of course, if you're doing a WordPress.com and a Blogger.com, it has its own environment. So there is the potential, I'm not going to say with certainty that you can get a lot of it, but there is the potential of getting traffic because you're on the WordPress.com platform or the Blogger.com platform. And, with Blogger, I think if I remember correctly, because I was playing with this last week, that when you post content on Blogger, if you've set up your Google Plus page, your Google Plus profile, I should say, then it will automatically you can automatically notify people of it. And so it's like automatically sharing. Of course, that Google entity in and of itself, if all you want to do is aim to rank on Google, just stick with all the Google entities and you're going to rank a lot easier than somebody else who's not. But like I said, this really depends on the amount of competition. And here's the thing is, I was going to tell you guys this, if you saw that brain, if we had a link on every single one of those, we could still not rank if we don't have a converting page so that somebody wants that site. If they go to it and they're like, oh, hey, I hate this page, and they click back and nobody ever goes there, then you're never going to rank anyway. So it's a lot more than just building links. You've got to have, and of course, a product page in and of itself is naturally like that. It's already something that if somebody's looking for that and they land on your page, there's a good shot that you're going to have a percentage of people that are going to stay on your page, purchase your product, etc. But there's also the risk that if you put a foreign language on there or just copy the stuff from AliExpress and stick it on there, which a lot of those aren't in proper English, people are going to click on your page and click off, right? They're just going to, I'm not interested. But I'll tell you what, I've seen a bunch of those that still rank on page 1 for stuff. So, and that's because they're doing things like this. They're literally everywhere. They've got links everywhere. But a link from blogger.com or a link from wordpress.com is going to be way more powerful than a link from Joe Schmo's blog that is about nothing, that nobody ever reads it or anything. You can have you can just have a couple of pieces of content on WordPress, and that's going to give you more juice than somebody else's spammy efforts. And that's what my point is like, if you're going to put some effort into it, put it into the right properties, because you put it into the wrong methods and you might as well just be wasted. You might as well just say, okay, I'm just going to go sleep for 6 days because that's about as effective. I don't know. Sleeping for 6 days sounds pretty good though.
It really does.
Sandra, did you say you're using a blog that's connected with your TRex?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Linda, you were talking to me?
Yeah. Are you using a blog that is connected with the TRex site?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you said, okay, got it.
No, I have my TRex site, but now I'm concentrating on a completely different one that is just spiritual, religious gifts.
Okay.
And I set up the Facebook page. Now I'm working on which way to go with a blog on that.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so I've got about 20 minutes left because I got to go pick up my mom soon. But
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah,
keep
because
going.
I got to leave at 5:50. I was just, here's the note I sent you. Here you go.
Okay, so now social media property 2. I put Diigo as the specific example because I've actually been using this and it's really easy. So it's a bookmarking site, and bookmarks are a lot like favoriting a site. So like you go into your, you have your Google, let's see here. And then you can, favorite a site up here and it just saves it. And you see all my stuff up here. I save a gajillion things, right? I mean, tons of stuff. But Diigo is a site that's like that, where you can basically favorite a site, but it stays on Diigo instead. You can organize it, and you can do more than that too. That's just how I'm using it. And it's on the Diigo platform. There are free and there are paid versions. The free version lets you bookmark up to 500 links. This is plenty. I mean, you can save up to 500 pages to Diigo on a free account. When you get building stuff, you can do, whatever you want, but this is literally just a backlink. So when you of course, you have to set your account to public view. I want to make sure I put that disclaimer out there. You need to set it to public, otherwise nobody can ever read it. Like Google can't read it or anything. Now, this is the one where I said almost everything we do is going to also drive traffic. I am not positive that bookmarking drives traffic, because while other people can see your bookmarks, I have no idea how many people are actually looking at other people's bookmarks. So I would say that this one is just to create a backlink. Now, thankfully, bookmarking sites have some pretty good trust. And because of that, it's a really powerful link back. Now, I say really powerful. Obviously, Google looks at their properties higher than they do other properties. So if you're looking at, well, I need to look at, do I do Diigo or do it, which I don't know why you wouldn't. It's free for 500 links, and you literally just go in there and paste the link in there, and that's it. You're done. And you make sure it's public, that your profile is public, your bookmarks are public, and you're good to go. I mean, it might take a little bit of time for them to get indexed, but over, if we're looking at trying to get up for Christmas time here, if we bookmark all of our, Etsy listings into here, it would be great. I mean, it would be very powerful. So that would be one way to, yes, yeah, it's an organization thing to save favorite sites. Yeah, you can do a lot of different things with it. Like I said, I just go in there and literally just start posting the links. You can tag stuff, and tagging would be a good way to give you that link juice for a specific keyword, right? So if you go in there and you say Pitbull shirt, Pitbull shirt, best Pitbull shirt, favorite Pitbull shirt, something like that, you can put that in there, put those in the tags. I wouldn't put like a bunch of them that all say Pitbull shirt. I would just use those as examples. And that would be a way to tell Google, Yahoo, and Bing, when they index that, to say, oh, look, this is about a Pitbull shirt. Oh, okay, great. And they know that Diigo is a bookmarking site, and that more than likely that's linked back to you. So it's not like they care. They just want to see that it's, somewhere else. So you're going to clarify it through that and provide that link. So that's the second non-social media property, because I don't think that's very social at all. Now the third one, if I click on it, now we've kind of talked about this. So this one is a little bit more social, but it's not really a social media property. And that's the question and answer sites and forums. And the one that I think is the easiest site to create some backlinks on is Yahoo Answers. The hard part is finding open questions. Finding questions is easy. Finding open questions is hard. You guys know I've told you this before. I use Webfire, but you can easily just go to Yahoo Answers and search for stuff and find something. Answer the questions from users and then create a link back to your website. It's an easy backlink. I mean, it's really easy. So somebody goes in and says, hey, I'm looking for a gift for a pit bull lover. Of course, you have to come up with the words and find the stuff, and you can go back in there and say, hey, I see you're looking for stuff about people who like pit bulls. That's actually one of my passions, and I've created a site. Here's the link to my site. Or, oh, hey, I see you're looking for this. I've created some things. Come back to my Etsy shop, or whatever you decide, whatever works to answer their question. I'll be honest, people go in there and literally just put their link to. There's no rules to this. It's just that you're going to get more value with the traffic if you actually answer a question than you are if you just put a link. But you can just put a link and also just get the link back to your site. So, and Yahoo is considered a pretty valuable property, though I'm not sure how they look at the Yahoo question and answer, but Yahoo is considered a valuable property. And like I said, it's a backlink. So that's a really easy one to do. Like there's no reason why every one of us can't just go on there and create links, a couple of links back to some of our products or our content just by going to Yahoo Answers and finding something. And so I say, you can create regular traffic if you answer questions on a regular basis, once every couple of weeks, go in there. You can maybe even set up some sort of a search query. I don't know if that's, you can do that with like Google News, but I don't know if you can do that with Yahoo. I have to look into that. Sorry. I had the hiccups before I started, then I got rid of them and now I'm choking. Forums. So each niche has specific forums in that niche. So like Pitbull, there are probably forums about pit bulls as an example. People who are Pitbull fans and Pitbull lovers, and probably forums about people who hate pit bulls. Regardless, these are people that are actively looking for answers to questions or to participate in discussion. It takes a lot of work to get into these forums, and some of them still do not allow backlinks. For those that do, you'll have a backlink in your signature. So forums are a lot harder, but if you're in a more, and I would actually say don't venture into forums unless you're in a higher competition. Like if you're like, hey, I have a really high converting product here and I think that, I need to reach out to more people, I need to get more traffic, whatever it is, then I'd say go ahead and explore into forums. Or if you're super passionate about it and you definitely wanted to get into the discussion, I think of forums a lot like Facebook groups. The difference is that Facebook groups, actually both of them, forums too, can be completely private. So even though you're creating a link back, you're not getting any credit for it. So there's a lot more work that goes into forums. So there are some other Q&A sites and some other like general forums that you can get into, but I'm not going to go into great detail about those. So just if you're interested in doing something like this, like supposedly you can get some links back from like answers.com or something like that, but I have never been able to find anything open that allows an open link back. So I would focus on the Yahoo Answers because it's the easiest one and you can get some quick backlinks from that. And, I think I've mentioned this before, indexing takes some time. So if you do it now, you might see some results in like a couple months by the time they finally index it. We don't know why the content is being indexed slower. Video index is way faster. So then this goes back to the question that's already been asked. How many backlinks do you need, right? So do I need to do Blogger? Do I need to do WordPress? Do I need to do Pinterest? Do I need to do all of these? There's no correct answer to this. There's none. It really depends on your niche, your keyword, and how hard of competition. There are so many variables on Google, Yahoo, and Bing. It's ridiculous. Like I can rank on page 1 for Google and not even be found on Yahoo and Bing for like no reason at all. And I can tell you that Yahoo and Bing tend to like aged domains better. So ones that are at least a year old. And so that could be a factor in why I wasn't being found. Like now I'm found a lot. Like for my RE Security Solutions one, I'm found like all the time now on Yahoo and Bing, but I wasn't, a couple years ago when I first built the site. And I couldn't get found no matter what.
Is it getting you work, jobs?
It gets us calls, but the industry itself has changed so much. It's ridiculous. Everybody wants like something for nothing. Like here it's really competitive too, because like the big dogs will come in and they'll be like, oh yeah, you don't have to pay us anything. We'll just put the system in, no big deal. And we're like, we can't do that. We have to pay for equipment. So, it's just really a competitive industry. And my husband's getting really mad about it because we field a lot of phone calls from my search engine optimization stuff, by the way. So let's see. Yeah, for some keywords, niches, and industries, you might only need to worry about your social media accounts. For others, you need to create a ton of links to compete. So a good example of this would be like if you wanted to compete for the word weight loss, which I don't recommend, but if you wanted to, or making money, right? Making money online, any of those are really, really general keywords, right? I mean, and they're very highly competitive niches. So if you wanted to try to compete with those, you'd have to do a ton of work and you have to pull every single trick out of the book. And we're not even going to talk about all of them because like I said, like age domains as an example. I mean, if somebody has a domain, and you guys have heard me complain about this, the searches, Google search, I'm going to search for a fire system. I'm going to search for information about a fire system. Oh yes, pulling up stuff from 2009 when we've had at least 2 major changes to the fire code makes so much more sense than pulling up stuff from, I don't know, 2018. It doesn't make sense. And that's what Google will do. They'll pull out an article from 2009 because it has more backlinks, because it's aged, because of whatever. And you're going, that doesn't make any sense at all for that particular niche. So there's so much that can go into it that it would be very difficult. So the amount of content and backlinks that you need is specifically going to vary based on the keywords that you select, the niche that you're in, or the industry that you're in. So I would say that what you would want to do is figure out if you're targeting something that you don't know, like if you're not using something like Webfire or you're not doing a manual comparison, then you have to test. If you show up in the first 100, so the first 10 pages without doing a ton of work, then you probably don't need to do a ton more work to get on page 1. You need to just evaluate the ones that are on page 1, make sure your on-site is optimized, you have an image in there, you have a video. I've told you guys this before, my secret. I could not get on page 1 to save my life for a super easy keyword. There's like no searches for it. There's like nobody else listed. I could not get on page 1. I was always on page 2. And the only thing that I changed to get to page 1 was I shared my YouTube video, Google Property, to my Google Plus page, Google Property. And then all of a sudden I'm on page 1 for every single search engine. So it doesn't take a lot to get you there, but it just really depends. So the more you do, though, the more likely you are to get on page 1 for something, and the more likely you are to stay there, right? Because you're doing more, you're building more of a foundation now by doing these entities and by getting the content there. And of course, we're also trying to drive traffic. So when we can, we'd like to drive traffic from sources. So more links, though, does not mean you will rank. Do not go to Fiverr and get a backlink package. Even if that does help you for a month or two, eventually it will hurt you. And that's because there's just, if you get that boost of links and, oh yeah, everybody's talking about this, that's great. Okay, wait, nobody's actually using those links. These don't mean anything. And then they'll go ahead and put you back. And a lot of times you'll be lower than where you were to begin with. So low quality backlinks, like those you get from Fiverr or paid backlinking sites, usually place the links in places that Google refuses to check, porn sites, or Google might look at those links negatively. No one really knows how this works, but we do know that Google hates crappy links and will not index them. And indexing means shows up in, like when somebody searches for you, that you show up in their search. Google has been known to de-index, to pull out the ability for somebody to find you by searching for their web, searching on Google, because they do not like your tactics. So it's not good to go and get those stupid little packages and stuff. I mean, I have tried those in the past and it hasn't really hurt me that much. And if you really want to cheat and do that, send them to a YouTube video. Send those links to a YouTube video. Send them to a YouTube channel or something. Don't send them to your main site, because if you send them to your main site and Google says, you know what, we don't like this, we're going to go ahead and de-index you. And you know what, some competition has actually done that to people before, where they're like, hey, I'm going to go pay to get this site, 30,000 horrible links. And then all of a sudden they get this, link juice from them, and then all of a sudden they get de-indexed. And so it's not fun. Don't do it. Just ignore those. Do it the right way. I mean, you do literally just as much work doing it the right way than the wrong way. So just do it the right way. All right, so now we're at action items, because I got to go soon. Continue setting up your social media sites if you've not already. Throw in your questions if you have them, by the way. That was random. But continue setting up your social media sites if you have not already, because like I said, Facebook, Pinterest, Google+, even though I hate Google+, I was playing with it some more. I think once we get into next week when we talk about, linking our content with Buffer or Hootsuite or something like that, then it'll be a little bit easier. But, the creating those entities is important, because those are very powerful links. So if somebody else has those links, which, it's not hard to do. So if somebody else has those links and you don't, you're never going to be able to beat them, right? You're never going to be able to get on page 1 when you're compared to everybody else who's doing these. So get those social media sites up. Even if you're not doing a ton of stuff on them, just get them up and we'll go ahead and work on getting more content to them quicker. Set up a blog on either Blogger or WordPress.com, just the free version. If you're ambitious, set one up on both. make a post on whatever platform you set up. So if you set one up on Blogger, make a post on it. If you're on WordPress.com, make a post on it. But if you're on those free versions on Blogger or WordPress.com, do not include backlinks in your first post. In fact, I wouldn't include a backlink in the first week of posting. You need to let the account site, you need to let it, I don't know what I meant there, sit, not site, just sit. Sit for a week or so without adding in backlinks to avoid potentially getting shut down. Both of these are, because they're trusted properties, they look for people that are doing that. So you just want to create it, maybe put a post out there. You can put a second one if you want to. Just one a week is fine. I mean, one a month is fine even, though they're not looking for a specific, posting right now. So what they're going to be looking at is, what is your purpose of starting it? Are you just, and of course, use your own name. And if you can, link it back to your Google account. The more real you look, the less likely you are to get shut down. And then, of course, create a free Diigo account and bookmark your pages. Oh, and I forgot to do this one. Find a question to answer on Yahoo Answers. That's the last one. So not overly difficult for this week. I mean, obviously, I know some of you are having some trouble getting all of your social media sites up. So keep working on those if you haven't finished them. Set up the blog on either Blogger or WordPress. Create a post on whichever platform or both without a link. Create a free Diigo account and bookmark your main pages, even if that's Etsy. And then find a question to answer on Yahoo Answers and link back. So, all right. I don't see any questions in here. I see Joanne saying that internet failed. No, somebody's internet failed. What? Linda,
Yeah,
are you
mine
on?
did.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was me. That was before. I thought it was your internet because you always say you have bad internet, and I guess it was mine.
Linda, I'm not sure what you're talking about, the 30 extra free hours. Oh, hours in a day. Yeah, I don't know where that is. That'll be next week. Next week, we're going to talk about how we can do all of this with the limited time. So I think I packed in quite a bit of to do. You sleeping like me? I don't know. I do sleep. It's just in the mornings. And then my daughter's trying to poke me and prod me and get me up. And I'm like, go away, just 5 more minutes. And then 2 hours later, I'm like, I might as well just get up because you keep coming in every 5 minutes. Because I told her to, but yeah. So, I mean, we haven't been doing a lot on the Etsy stuff yet. We're still waiting for that shirt to come in, and we can't post our products until we know that they can actually print red ink. And then, but I'm still building a bunch of other stuff. I'm testing email marketing, trying to get some easy stuff set up. The funny thing is that a lot of the stuff that I know and I've tested in the past didn't work. I was like, okay, well, I've done email marketing. It didn't work. And the reason why would be like one small thing. And so now that I know that one small thing, I'm like, man, I got to reset up all this stuff because I shut everything down when it wasn't working, right? I was like, this is taking too much time. So I got to retest some of those things. But I think for search engine optimization, the biggest thing that we can do is just be as real as possible. Own our properties, make sure that we're interlinking. If there's so much we can do with just Google, right? I mean, Google has a gajillion properties. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull that up real quick. So here, if you're in Google and you're signed in, so I'm signed in as me, right? If you click on this little square here, Google Apps, this isn't all of them, right? You've got Google Plus, you've got the search, YouTube is a property, right? And then of course you can look at their news. And in order to get into Google News, you have to submit news releases, and that costs a lot of money. We're not going to talk about that. So they have Drive, which Drive is a way that you can actually get a link back. We'll talk about that another time. And then Voice is a free voice, like it's a free phone number service that you can actually have an app for and use if you want to use for business. It's much better than it used to be. I got it years ago. I started it, and it used to be such a pain, but it's so much better now. You can even text. You can even send images now. You used to not be able to do that. So they have, like, if you can just go through, see, Blogger is their property. Photos is another way that you can do it, which I don't know. Photos is iffy. We'll have to play with that one. They've got Docs. They've got, let's see, Hangouts is a resource. They've been playing with that one too. I don't know if that's going to stick around because that's competing with YouTube. So they're shifting more to YouTube then. But they have, and then they have even more, right? You can click on even more, and then they go through stuff. Really. they used to actually just go to an actual page where you could like get a whole list of them. You can see I haven't clicked on here in a while. Now they're promoting everything. Okay, so you just have to go through. So like organize your stuff, work smarter, grow your business. There's so much that's not even listed on here. You guys would be surprised, at least not easily. I'll share some of those with you as I play with them and test them. Oh, look, YouTube gaming, YouTube kids, YouTube TV. So anyway, there's tons of stuff. If you guys are like, oh, hey, I love Google Scholar, by the way. This is one of my favorite sites to go in. You still have to filter, but like you can search for, if you go to scholar.google.com and you want to look for like an actual scholarly paper, you could do that. So if you wanted to say, you know, like Pinterest business, we're going to put that in here, right? And so you can see like how there's like actual scholarly articles about how you can use Pinterest to grow your business, and they give like examples and stuff that they've actually tested. So now I don't necessarily recommend that for the average person, but me in education, I use this site a lot when I was getting my papers for business continuity planning because they're all over the place. So that's a nice free resource for education though. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of different things, and we have our to-do list up, and you know, I created the Diigo account and was playing with it for my EP laser stuff, and it's pretty easy. I mean, it's a link, so we get those on there, and like I said, the more platforms and the more services that we're on, the better off we're going to be. So, all right, my
Did
thing.
you say quick Diigo, whatever it is that a app like Google Store?
I don't know.
Or you just Googled it and it came up?
Yeah,
I'll find it. Don't worry. I know
yeah,
you have to run.
Diigo.com, and then there is an extension. It looks like they have an extension that you can add in to do it. So that might even be faster than the way I was doing it.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming, and sorry we didn't have more time this week, but unfortunately, and they just sent another notice and they jumped up her time like 5 more minutes. So I don't know. We'll see. She might be waiting for me at the airport soon. So yeah, it's like an hour drive, and she's going to be there in like an hour and 45 minutes. So I got to go feed my daughter and head out.
Okay. Drive carefully.
Bye. Yep.
Thanks for coming, and we'll do more on syndication next week. So all
Sounds
right.
good.
All right. Talk to you later. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.